Alright, so Kyle here again. We're going to go over the obviousness and anticipation of these patents regarding the thermal mugs. So first, obviously, in 1948, there was a thermal coffee cup, and then later we have, 50 years later, the sleeve construction for improved paperboard cup insulation. So maybe this wasn't obvious, but it could have been anticipated that if you have a thermal coffee cup, that eventually someone would want to put a sleeve around it, but the 50 years I can agree with. However, next 2 years later, we have the insulating sleeve as opposed to the construction for it. So to me, that kind of seems like it should be obvious that if you start with the sleeve construction, that an insulating sleeve would be the next step. So I think that'd be an error on the obviousness side. However, say you do have the insulating sleeve and it wasn't anticipated that those steps would be concurrent, then when you get further down the line, when you get the insulator sleeve for a beverage container, to me that seems a little bit ridiculous that you would get an insulator sleeve and then now you can say it's specifically for a beverage container, and that would be something completely different. That should be anticipated that you would use it for a beverage, especially if it's protecting you from hot items. And the next one on the list was the hot and cold beverage sleeve. And there's also the protective sleeve, which to me would have been completely obvious based off the insulator sleeve that an insulator sleeve would be protective in and of itself. Um, if it's a useful insulator sleeve, then yes, it should protect the user. But the fact that you can create another patent based on basically switching the verbs seems a little bit ridiculous, and should have it was definitely anticipated that this would be used for a beverage. And then later when you get to the hot and cold beverage, if it's an insulator, then it insulates both hot and cold. So overall, I think the way that it ends up working is that you just think of a way to one up the system, and then you create your own patent, and there you go, you have it for 20 years. So overall, I think most of these are very obvious next steps with each patent, so maybe I'll create a very obvious patent as well.